Okay, so today we're going to look at how we can decompose a parallelogram. So I have here, I've cut out a parallelogram, and you'll see on the paper that the base or the length of this parallelogram right now is 6, and the height of right here is 6 as well. But we don't know the side length right now because it's a parallelogram, and we don't know how to find the area of a parallelogram. So it's important for us to recognize how we could decompose the parallelogram. And so I've done it 2 different ways. So the first way I'm going to show you is this way. So we're going to cut off this part right here. All we have to do is make sure we cut along a perpendicular line so that we can take this parallelogram and make it into a new shape that we recognize. So I'm going to cut up this dotted line. You're going to watch me cut it off. Okay, I'm cutting up this dotted line right here, straight as I can. Okay, so now I have 2 pieces. I have this almost triangle-y piece, and then I have the rest of the parallelogram over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece that was right here, and I'm going to slide it over and put it on the other side. So I'm going to put it down here. And now I have a rectangle that I can solve for the area of, because I know that a rectangle's formula to find area is going to be length times width, or base times height. And I want you to notice that before I cut the parallelogram, the base of it, if we put it back the way it was 6, right? But after I cut it and I slide it over, the base is still 6. It didn't change. And now, since we cut and created it into, or composed it into a rectangle, we now know that the side length of this figure, this rectangle, is 6. So now we can solve for our area. Okay? So area. So our length here, we're going to take from the bottom. That's our base. It's 6. So we're going to put that in, 6. And then we're going to multiply that by its width or its height, which is on the side right over here, which is also 6. And then we're going to think to ourselves, what is 6 times 6? And that's going to be 36. So we know that our area is going to be 36 square units. Now let's look at another one. I'm going to take it the same size, okay? Maybe this one will be a little bit more recognizable to you, okay? So here it is. This is our same parallelogram, okay? And here I've drawn the line right at the corner of the parallelogram. And I'm going to cut up that line so I can decompose or take apart my parallelogram. Okay, we're cutting it up the side. Okay, now I'm going to take this triangle that I made. So now I have a triangle. It's an actual shape. And then I have this other part of the parallelogram that's left, and I'm going to slide my triangle over again to match it up with the side, because remember our sides were parallel, so they're going to match up exactly. So there we go. Now we've made our rectangle again out of our triangle that we cut off and the rest of the parallelogram that was left. And I want you to again notice that the base or the length of my shape doesn't change. It still stays 6. And again, because this side is now an actual side of our rectangle, we also know that the width or the height of our shape is going to be 6. And we would solve it the same way. We would do length times width equals the area, or base times height equals the area, which would again be 6 for our base and 6 for our height, and that would be 36 square units. I'm going to show you another time how to decompose another one. So I haven't put measurements on this one yet, but it's a little bit bigger, so they're not exactly the same, right? So here is our parallelogram on our paper. I'll slide that up so you can see. And we're going to give it some units. We're going to say that the base is 10, so we'll call this 10 down here. And we'll make this line right here, we'll say it's 8. Okay. So I don't know yet, again, how to solve for a parallelogram. So I'm looking at my parallelogram and I'm thinking to myself, what can I do so I can make it a shape that I understand? So one of the things I can do is I can decompose or take it apart, right? So I'm going to cut up this line that I already drew. Okay, it's a nice perpendicular line. So that means that it's 90 degrees here and 90 degrees up here and on both sides. That line is 90 degrees to the other lines. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece of the parallelogram that I cut off and I'm going to slide it over to the other side. Here we go, and I'm going to match it up and I'm going to make my rectangle. And we're going to notice again that the length on the bottom doesn't change just because I moved where that part of the line was, right? So it's still going to be 10. And now we have a side length of our rectangle, which is 8. And now we know how to solve for the area, right? We're going to take the 10 for our length or our base, 10. And then we're going to multiply it by 8, which is our height or our width. And 8 times 10 would be 80 square units. And that's how you decompose a parallelogram and move the side over and make it into a rectangle to solve for area. I hope this helped.